coming at you live from outside of space and time. I'm Naeem. Welcome to the feedback loop. Your mind is like a camera. What do I mean by that? We all have something called a lens of perception. This is what we use to understand reality from the raw information that comes into our senses. There's vibrations that hit the eardrum, and we perceive those as sound. There's photons and light that hit the eye, and we perceive those as images and draw all different kinds of meanings from them. There are a series of processes that happen before raw information becomes reality, or before we have some kind of conscious experience of it in the mind. Here I have a digital camera. This is a mirrorless digital camera. It has a lens mounted to it. The body contains an image sensor and a processor. It also has a viewfinder, so you can see the image, and an LCD screen on the back, so you can see the image that the sensor is exposed to. I'm going to take the lens off for a moment. Here in the center, the little rectangle, you can see that that's the actual sensor for the camera. That's what actually picks up the light and gives an image readout, allows the camera to interpret an image. You probably heard this before, though, that a camera is only as good as the lens that you have mounted to it. You see, without a lens, the sensor actually doesn't receive a coherent interpretation of what's in front of it or what's on the outside. I'm going to turn on the camera without the lens attached, and you can see here there's no coherent image being perceived by the camera. The camera can't interpret what's going on the outside. The sensor is very powerful and it's very capable, but without the lens to actually focus and regulate the light, it's pretty useless when it comes to capturing images if you don't have a lens attached to it. So what's so special about the lens? Well, a lens isn't just one piece of glass. It actually has multiple pieces of glass or elements inside of it. Some are convex, some are concave, some are spaced at different distances from each other. When you focus the lens, some of those elements move in relation to the other to bring the subject of what you're trying to photograph into focus. Some are very sharp and crisp. Some lenses are very sharp and crisp. Some are soft and kind of blurry, or have a certain kind of character to them. It all depends on how the lens is built and the different elements inside. A lens also has what's called an aperture. The aperture is the opening that allows the light to pass through and hit the sensor. So you can control the aperture through the lens. That opens and closes the hole that the light passes through before it hits the sensor. Just like your pupil or your iris will dilate to allow light to pass in. Here you can see that there. You can actually see my face through the lens. All right. The lens does a lot of the work in terms of making the light coherent, gathering it in a certain way, organizing it, and focusing the light so that the sensor simply records what comes through. So the sensor is just sitting at the end of the chain. The light is focused and gathered from the lens, and it hits the sensor, and the sensor simply records what it's exposed to. I'm going to put the lens back on the camera. I'm going to turn it on. And now you can see there. Let me open up the aperture. now there's an actual image coming through that the sensor can actually interpret what's actually happening on the other side of the camera. So now the camera can actually see more accurately what's on the outside. So how does this tie back to the mind and remote viewing? Well, we all have intuitive ability to some degree, and this inherent ability is actually very powerful, and it transcends our current understanding of time and space, and raises many questions about reality in general. The ability is similar to the sensor and the processor in the camera. It's very capable, but if we want to aim it or focus it on something, it helps to have some kind of mechanism that collects the information, gathers it, and organizes it in a way that allows it to be processed and interpreted so that it can reflect more closely the outcome that we desire, the thing that we want to see. This is where remote viewing methodology comes into play. The methodology acts like a lens. It has multiple steps and stages, like the multiple glass elements in a lens. It guides the intention and focus through different types of sensory perceptions, similar to how the lens brings into focus the subject of the photograph. The methodology also controls a type of intuitive aperture that methodically dilates to allow impressions increasing in resolution as you progress through the session. Now, some have naturally developed their intuitive lens. Some have discovered it by accident or through experiment. I developed my intuitive lens through the practice of remote viewing using a structured methodology. Like learning how to ride a bike with the training wheels on, these methods are designed to help keep you upright while you pedal along the psychic internet, so to speak. Once you understand how to ride the signal line, of course you could take the training wheels off, but this doesn't really happen overnight. There's a learning curve, and to become successful in this practice, it's a long-term pursuit. Like shooting film, back to the camera, going back to cameras, it's like shooting film. You never know exactly how the image is going to be until you take it to the dark room and develop it. You're going to overexpose some shots. You're going to underexpose other shots. But over time, you'll start to learn the film and the lens and the camera you're working with, and you'll be able to shoot with more confidence and achieve better results. To get better at remote viewing, you have to shoot a lot of shots or do a lot of sessions for your own practice, not to prove it to anyone or to publish it or for someone else. Do sessions without any performance pressure or anxiety, for your own eyes only, for your eyes only. Work the session, then immediately check the feedback on what the target is. By doing this over and over again, you begin the slow and frustrating but rewarding path to developing the images in your mind's camera. I hope you're getting the picture. So on your pursuit of discovering and harnessing your expanded awareness, I have created a few tools that you may find useful. These are resources that I created keeping in mind the things I wish I had when I was in the learning process. I recently released Target Workbook 100 Remote Viewing Targets. This is a digital target pool in the form of a PDF document that contains 100 validation remote viewing targets. That works out to about a target every 3 days or 8 targets a month for a whole year. That allows you a chance to shoot your shot. Each target has optional front and side loading or movement orders. And this is an important part of getting the most out of each target you work while you're practicing. You can work the target blind, and then at the end of your session or midway through your session, access the movement orders. This will give you some direction so that you can apply yourself to the most important aspect of the target. and have a real learning experience when you get the feedback. Target Workbook is available now at my website, thefeedbackloop.info. The link will be in the description below. For those who are brand new to remote viewing and are maybe just trying to get their feet wet, I've created a beginner's template and guidebook, which is available for free download. Link will be in the description. For those of you who are looking to get more serious into remote viewing, I am currently taking signups for a remote viewing instructional course that will start in April of 2025. Spots are limited. It's a 10-week course with 6 lessons, which will be done online over Zoom. You can find out more details at futureforecasters.com. Link will be in the description below. If you're still here this long into the video, I'd like to thank you for your time and attention. I hope you learned something and found this interesting. Peace and love. Till next time.